Durk has been locked up in Broward County Jail. He's there right now. This is this. Yes, Broward. He's in Florida. I got the whole thing on. Look on my stream. I got it. Oh my God, bro.
Rapper Lil Durk is currently facing the death penalty.
Following his shocking arrest by federal agents tied to the August 2022 shooting and attempted hit on Condo Rondo, Lil Durk is officially behind bars. The rapper might be saying goodbye to freedom for good, as prosecutors are lining up a life sentence over the charges stacked against him. And what about the OTF boss himself? The streets are buzzing after Lil Durk's arrest, with feds claiming he was caught up in a murder-for-hire scheme. From flying private jets to now staring at cold prison walls, his fall from luxury is as dramatic as it gets. According to court filings, if the OTF leader gets convicted, the maximum penalty is life in federal prison. No parole, no shortcuts, just decades locked away. Lil Durk, real name Durk Banks, was booked into Broward County Jail on murder-for-hire charges. And the story is wild. This bombshell came right after the U.S. District Attorney in Los Angeles dropped a heavy indictment on him and 5 other OTF members. The accusations? Conspiracy to commit murder for hire that left someone dead, plus the use of a machine gun tied to another death. Prosecutors claim the crew plotted to cross state lines just to pull off a hit on Condo Rondo's circle back in 2022. Records reveal the tragic target ended up being Rondo's cousin, who lost his life during the Los Angeles shooting that August. Authorities say Condo himself was supposed to be the mark, all in what looks like retaliation for King Von's killing. Now the twist. The feds have been working overtime to link the big fish, Lil Durk, directly to this murder-for-hire scheme pinned on his affiliates. The feds claim this crime wasn't random. It tied straight back to the chaos of 2020 at Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta, where Lil Durk's close friend King Von lost his life. And let's be real, the feds don't need an inside snitch to guess that if it's connected to Von's death, they'd be looking at Durk as the one calling the shots.
It says, the charges mark the latest fallout from the high-profile killing of King Von. They connecting dots.
Honestly, it felt like only a matter of time before they locked him into the August 2022 hit. Once those 5 OTF members were indicted, the puzzle pieces were already falling in place. The paperwork stacked sky high, and the evidence lined up until the hammer finally came down on Durk, the hardest blow of his entire career. And of course, who else but DJ Academics to be one of the first blasting the arrest across the industry, turning the whole thing into the talk of the internet overnight. After dropping a video on the case, DJ Academics jumped on Twitter with the bomb. Breaking, Lil Durk has been arrested by U.S. Marshals. He added that Durk is locked in Broward County Correctional Facility, waiting to be shipped off to California to face federal charges. The charge? Murder for hire in the death of Condo Rondo's cousin, Lul Pab. And when Cat Williams said 2024 would be the year of truth, he wasn't lying. This mess proves it loud and clear. Now here's where it gets darker. OTF itself is sliding straight toward a RICO case. The indictment flat out labels OTF a criminal organization. Court papers say co-conspirator 1 was out here putting bounties on people's heads. And if you handled the hit, you'd either get a cash payout or, crazier, a shot at music opportunities inside OTF. Prosecutors even say Condo Rondo was listed as TB in the plot, but it doesn't stop there. Word is Lil Durk is co-conspirator 3. According to the feds, that same co-conspirator used an OTF-linked credit card to buy plane tickets and hotel stays for the alleged shooters flying into California to carry out the hit. The kicker? The credit card was tied back to a bank account under Durk's old manager's name. Turns out another credit card tied to that same account was under Lil Durk's own father. This thing runs deep.
He got a whole story behind him, you know what I'm saying? He from O Block.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That should speak for itself. Nah. But, you know what I'm saying? He just real. You know what I'm saying? His music, he just a real nigga, just, I fuck with him. You know what I'm saying? It's my brother.
But how did the plan actually unfold? According to the indictment, it backfired in blood. Defendant Jones, Lindsay, and co-conspirator 2 allegedly unleashed a storm of bullets at TB, killing SR, who just so happened to be a passenger in TB's ride. And for anyone lost in the details, SR is none other than Lil Pab. Now think back. Right after the ambush on Kondo Rondo's crew that killed Lil Pab, the streets were whispering someone had snitched on Rondo's location. Guess what? The indictment backs that up. It straight up says, in overt act number 2, that on August 18th, 2022, one or more conspirators, including co-conspirator 4, got the inside scoop that TB was in California, posted up in a Los Angeles hotel. So the real question, who tipped them off? Whoever it was set the stage for the tragic showdown. Federal reports say the hit squad rolled in 2 separate cars, one even stripped of a license plate, tailing, stalking, and eventually ambushing TB at a gas station in LA. During the ambush, prosecutors say the crew sprayed at least 18 bullets into TB's vehicle, several tearing through and killing Lil Pab on the spot. After the hit, the so-called killer squad regrouped at a restaurant where payments were allegedly shuffled around.
One thing about it, he gonna protect me with anything, which anybody should.
But then came their fatal slip-up. At dawn, they supposedly used that same OTF-linked credit card to book flights straight back to Chicago, leaving a paper trail the feds couldn't ignore. But the courtroom drama took a wild twist. Lil Durk's murder-for-hire trial, originally set for January 7th, 2025, has now been postponed all the way to October 2025. Why? Both prosecution and defense admitted this case is so unusual and complex, it needs more time to unpack. The discovery alone is insane. Over 230 gigabytes of digital files, 20,000 plus pages of reports on murders and violent crimes, plus stacks of photos, witness statements, and medical records. Yet here's the kicker. That mountain of evidence wasn't the only reason for the delay. The bombshell came when an FBI agent in Chicago filed a newly unsealed affidavit tying Lil Durk to yet another murder-for-hire plot. And while Durk hasn't officially been charged in that one, the shadow hanging over him just got even darker. The newly unsealed affidavit dropped a bomb, pointing to text messages and social media chats where 2 people openly discussed getting paid by Durk.
Sure, ma'am. But a chain, ma'am, ma'am, when it come to jewelry, ma'am, only people with bad intentions who clout chasing and stuff looking to try to take a nigga chain. Ma'am, a $50,000-$60,000 chain, ma'am, like go buy that. That's $50,000-$60,000, like that's not nothing.
The payment, prosecutors claim, was tied to the 2022 murder of 24-year-old gangster disciple leader Stephen M. Word on the street, says that hit was payback for the murder of Lil Durk's brother, D-Thang. Back in June 2021, D-Thang was gunned down, allegedly by a GD member, and ever since, whispers say Durk has never stopped sliding for his blood. The affidavit even alleges that Durk was, and still is, offering money to take out anyone tied to his brother's killing, including his longtime rivals, the gangster disciples. No wonder his legal team failed to get him out on pretrial release. Prosecutors slammed that door shut fast, waving around the FBI agent's affidavit as proof that Durk is too dangerous to be back on the streets before trial. Court filings argue the affidavit underscores exactly why the rapper should stay locked up until Judgment Day. Let's be real. Lil Durk is tangled in this nightmare because fans kept pushing the Slide for Von campaign, pressuring him to get revenge for his best friend's death. Prosecutors now see this not just as a random act, but as part of a deeper war brewing from way back. It all traces to that infamous 2020 clash between Kondo Rondo's crew and King Von in Atlanta. The fight that ended with Von losing his life. While digging through this case, I spotted a YouTube comment that nailed it perfectly. The user wrote, "It's truly sad that all this chaos started from an ego-driven fistfight in 2020. Now all that's left are the consequences that Durk may carry for life." And the crazy part? That single observation hits harder than any headline. Because whether you agree or not, it's clear Durk felt trapped. Fans screaming for revenge, loyalty to Von, and a storm of choices that pulled him straight into the feds' crosshairs. Let's dive into the bond between Durk and his evil twin, King Von. Lil Durk, real name Durk Derek Banks, was born October 19th, 1992, and raised in Inglewood on Chicago's South Side, a neighborhood infamous for crime and gang wars. That environment carved out much of who he became. Durk's childhood was anything but easy. His father got locked up when Durk was just 7 months old, leaving him to grow up in the middle of chaos. Those hardships fueled his hunger to escape the trenches, pushing him from the slums all the way to rap stardom. Music wasn't just his dream, it was his lifeline out of the streets. Now flip the story to King Von, born David Daquan Bennett on August 19, 1994. He came up in O'Block, a hood named after a fallen gang member, and easily one of the most feared areas in Chicago.
12 years.
12
got
years?
out, interviewed, said he kept it real, brought him cars, gave him 50,000.
Right.
This. Made mention that ain't no smut on his name. He ain't never been a rat. Caught a gun case, but eventually he
Von's upbringing mirrored Durk's, stamped by violence, loss, and the constant fight to survive. Von grew up losing friends left and right to the streets, and by a young age, he was already facing run-ins with the law. But even through all that chaos, his raw charisma and sharp storytelling made him stand out from other rappers around him, quickly catching local buzz. Durk, already a name in Chicago's rap scene, spotted Von's potential immediately. He pulled him in, offering guidance, connections, and real support as Von tried to navigate the cutthroat music industry. But their bond went deeper than music. It was about survival, loyalty, and having each other's back in a world where trust could cost your life. That mutual respect built the kind of friendship that shaped both their careers and personal lives forever. And to show just how real it was, here's what Lil Durk once said about Von during his Breakfast Club interview. As their bond grew stronger, Durk officially signed King Von to his OTF label, a huge milestone that kicked off their professional brotherhood. Von wasted no time making noise. His debut mixtape Grandson, Volume 1 dropped in 2019, featuring 2 collabs with Durk, Crazy Story 2.0 and Twin Nem. The project was a breakout success, with Von's gritty storytelling pulling fans in and locking down his spot as one of rap's rawest voices. The chemistry between the so-called evil twins was undeniable, both in music and in the streets. But here's the thing. Von wasn't new to danger. Before music, he was already feared in the streets, only picking up rap seriously after beating a murder case in 2017. That explains why his lyrics stayed so raw and aggressive. He never fully left the streets behind. Von threw shots at any rapper who crossed him and relentlessly dissed his rivals, especially STL, the gang just a block from O-Block, home turf of the Black Disciples. As a teen, Von got pulled deep into the violent pull of Chicago's gang culture. He joined the Black Disciples, one of the city's most feared and long-standing crews, lured by the promise of power, respect, and protection. Von's rise was fast. His fearlessness and ruthless rep put his name on the map early. Before long, his name was being whispered across the city, tied to violence and payback.
Saying my whole time in jail, that stayed, bro. Like, before the money, you know what I'm saying? That was bro. I remember when the money wasn't there.
One of the first incidents that stamped his reputation was the killing of King Doc on April 28, 2012. Doc, a rival gang member, was ambushed and shot as he walked into a convenience store, a brutal hit that left the whole community in shock. After the shooting, Doc stumbled into a patch of weeds where his body went unnoticed for hours until his 16-year-old cousin, Maudell McCamey, tragically discovered him dead. For Von, this was only the start of a string of violent episodes that would define his street legacy. By June 2012, he had even taken his lifestyle online, becoming active on Twitter and dropping posts about his street moves for the world to see. Von didn't seem to care one bit about incriminating himself online. He tweeted boldly about drilling in the name of O.D. Perry, even comparing himself and his close friend, O-Block shooter T. Roy, to legends in the trenches. He warned rivals never to disrespect their names, bragging about shootings like it was just another day. Von even claimed he'd been drilling since he was young, and at one point, he straight up tweeted about wanting to kill cops. On August 7th, 2012, he dropped a chilling post. Homicide is in the air. It smells like a graveyard. Just hours later, in the early morning of August 8th, a crew from O-Block, rumored to include Von and T. Roy, went hunting for enemies. That same night, Dirty Rel, real name Terrell Joshua, a well-known STL and Jarrow City affiliate, was shot down. His body was discovered on a Washington Park sidewalk just before 3:30 a.m. Incidents like this painted the pattern. Von's reputation wasn't just rap hype, it was tied to a real cycle of violence and retaliation. Von's rep as a straight-up killer only grew darker with every body added to his name. On the streets of Chicago, whispers turned into full-blown legend. Von was feared by many, with his alleged ties to multiple murders fueling the image of a man with no limits. The next bloody chapter brought the tragic deaths of Model P5 and Lil James, stacking even more weight onto his already menacing reputation. By this point, people painted him as a rapper with one of the highest body counts in the game. But while Von's name climbed the ranks of street infamy, death itself was creeping closer to him, and his hot temper blinded him from seeing it. The seeds of his final feud can be traced to industry rivalries. Von's tight bond with Lil Durk clashed hard with Kondo Rondo's ties to NBA Youngboy. The beef between Durk and Youngboy was already one of hip-hop's most infamous feuds, and it spilled straight down to their artists. And so came November 6th, 2020, a night that started off just like any other for King Von and his crew, but would end in blood. On the night of November 6th, 2020, the scene was set at Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta, a buzzing hotspot for nightlife. Among the crowd were both King Von's crew and Kondo Rondo's entourage, a mix that instantly charged the atmosphere with tension. Nobody knew it yet, but the night was about to turn deadly. Surveillance footage shows the spark, Von stepping up to Kondo outside the club. Out of nowhere, Von swung first, landing a punch that lit the fuse on a wild street brawl. Both entourages jumped in, fists flying, bodies crashing, the whole scene exploding into pure chaos. Then came the moment that changed everything. Timothy Lil Tim Leaks, a close ally of Kondo Rondo, allegedly pulled a gun. Shots tore through the night, striking King Von multiple times. Panic erupted, people running in every direction as gunfire echoed across the block. Von's team scrambled to get him to safety, but the damage was already irreversible. King Von was rushed to a nearby hospital in critical condition, but despite doctors fighting to save him, he didn't make it. His injuries were too severe. Hours later, Timothy Lil Tim Leaks was arrested at the scene and charged with Von's murder. But what really set the streets on fire was his release on a $100,000 bond, a move that outraged Von's supporters and sparked heated debates everywhere. As for Kondo Rondo, who had been right there during the clash, he quickly tried to distance himself. In interviews, he swore he never even knew King Von personally and had no prior issues with him. Kondo insisted his crew was only defending themselves once the brawl broke out, but the rumors didn't stop. Whispers spread that Kondo tried to snatch Von's chain after the shooting, a claim he flat out denied. He called it pure clout-chasing lies, saying, "Nobody's thinking about a chain when shots are flying." Still, that didn't protect him from the backlash. Kondo Rondo and his entire camp were buried under scrutiny, with the streets and the industry watching their every move. After Von's death, fans and artists alike pointed fingers at Kondo Rondo, blaming him for sparking the chain of events that ended in tragedy. But Kondo stayed defiant, brushing off the criticism even as the backlash hit hard. Within weeks, his shows were canceled, threats piled up, and the industry's eyes burned holes into his every move. Still, he dropped new music and doubled down on his claims of innocence. Then came the stunt that lit the fire even hotter. Kondo bought 2 luxury watches, flaunting them on Instagram with the caption, "Me and my twins." One watch was black, the other blue, and he tagged Lil Tim directly, making it clear one of those pricey pieces was a gift for the man accused of killing King Von. To many, this wasn't loyalty. It was a slap in the face, pouring fuel on an already deadly feud. At the same time, some people gave Lil Durk respect for not seeking immediate revenge and breaking the endless cycle of violence. But the chants of "slide for Von" started echoing louder and louder, and that pressure became impossible to ignore. When Durk allegedly called the hit, it didn't just take down his rivals. it crashed his entire empire. And when the mighty fall, they don't fall alone. Everything they built crumbles with them. Last year proved that for Lil Durk in the harshest way possible. He started the year receiving the key to the village of Broadview, honored like a hometown hero, and ended it shackled in a jail cell. Talk about a brutal reversal of fortune. So, who's really to blame? The truth is simple. You can't live double lives forever. You're either a rapper or a gangster, but trying to juggle both only ends one way. Like Durk, you'll be a rapper locked up while your empire drifts leaderless outside the walls. The feds never sleep, and the second you dip your hands into something dirty, the clock starts ticking. As ACO Davis, the FBI's assistant director in Los Angeles, put it, while you think you're moving freely, the Bureau is quietly piecing together the evidence that'll bury you. That's exactly the twist in Durk's story. He began the year celebrated by mayors, but he closed it out behind bars, his empire in ruins. Here's a quick recap of how 2024 kicked off for Lil Durk before the downfall hit. The All My Life rapper was being celebrated close to home for his work with the Neighborhood Heroes Foundation. He wasn't just collecting praise. He was handed multiple keys to the city, including the village of Broadview and the village of Bellwood. Another shiny honor stacked onto the long list of accolades for the man who calls himself the voice of the trenches. But then came the twist nobody saw coming. Just a week after Broadview officials proudly presented him that honorary key, the same mayor yanked it back. Katrina Thompson revoked the honor as news broke that U.S. Marshals had arrested Durk in Florida on federal charges tied to an alleged murder conspiracy. In the blink of an eye, his clean public image flipped into a scandal plastered across headlines. Broadview officials didn't stop at snatching Durk's key to the city. They also cut ties with his Neighborhood Heroes Foundation. The mayor made it clear, while the justice system says innocent until proven guilty, the people of Broadview hold their leaders to even higher moral standards. And once the arrest hit headlines, the court of public opinion moved faster than any courtroom ever could. This is the brutal reality of gang life. Your legacy gets stained, allies distance themselves, and if you're lucky, you end up behind bars. If you're not, you end up like King Von, gone too soon, laid 6 feet deep. Durk's arrest became another reminder of how fast the streets can flip everything you've built into dust. And now the biggest question looms. Can Durk's empire even survive this storm? Fans were shocked when reports surfaced that the downfall might have come from inside. According to outlets like the Express Tribune, an OTF member allegedly flipped, secretly feeding the feds info on Durk for years, and possibly handing up the boss himself. With the attempted hit on Condo Rondo, the same one that ended with Lil Pob's death, the streets have seen plenty of wild twists. But nothing shook the industry like this latest bombshell. The alleged informant? None other than OTF's own Jam, who insiders say wore a hidden wire for years while moving with the crew. Here's the backstory. Jam had just come home in 2022 after serving 12 years for attempted murder. But instead of staying solid, reports claim he was secretly feeding info to authorities, directly tying the big fish, Lil Durk himself, to the murder-for-hire plot on Rondo, real name, Tiquian Terrell Bowman. Say Cheese TV was quick to light up socials, posting that Durk's own snitch was an OTF insider exposed for rocking a wire. According to reports, Jam had been wearing the device for years, all while blending in with the gang. Once the news dropped, controversy exploded. Fans and bloggers alike asked the same question. How did nobody catch him hiding a wire for that long? One commenter even joked online, he probably stashed it in that big forehead. Some people online tried to break it down, saying they don't even use old school wires anymore. Instead, cops hand out tiny, super sensitive recorders you can just slip in your pocket. Another user added their 2 cents, claiming every device around you can basically work like a wire. Phones, watches, even earbuds. Your phone is the wire, they wrote. Others joked that calling someone a wire wearer sounds like outdated slang, since technology has leveled up, and so have the rats. But the part that really stunned fans? The streets always said Durk held Jam down while he was locked up. Reports claimed Durk looked out for Jam's family, even helping with lawyer fees. only to later find out Jam might have been secretly recording him all along. When DJ Vlad pressed Wack 100 in an interview about Durk's empire crumbling, Wack didn't hesitate to bring up Jam's alleged snitching, throwing more fuel onto the fire that's already burning Durk's name. DJ Vlad pointed out that Jam had served a 12-year stretch for attempted murder, starting back in 2010 and finally walking free in 2022, the very same year Lil Pab was killed. And from that point on, rumors claimed Jam was moving with a recording device, secretly gathering dirt on Lil Durk and OTF, evidence that would eventually fuel Durk's arrest. Imagine that, betrayal planted right inside the house, meant for only the family. Adding more sting to the story, a 2023 interview with OTF Jam has now resurfaced. In the sit-down with DJ Jerry, Jam spoke on his deep bond with Durk, saying the rapper had supported him throughout his prison years. Jam revealed how Durk kept his spirits alive by sending money, showing love, and even making music that they would play during prison parties. He even said, "I remember Durk was making rap songs for our parties." The same man who held him down may have been the very one Jam was recording all along, a twist that makes this betrayal hit even harder. Jam even admitted, "That was bro, back before the fame and the money. He made a way for me to be straight." Those words cut even deeper, knowing how the story played out. What makes it worse is that Durk has rapped plenty of times about spotting snakes and knowing when someone's telling. Yet he didn't see this one coming at all. To be betrayed by a childhood friend you fed, supported, and trusted, only to find out he's the one wearing a wire around you, that's next-level treachery. As one fan put it, it'd be the closest ones to you. And that's the truth. Betrayal only stings when it comes from someone you once called family. Nobody expects loyalty from an enemy. But when your own brother-in-arms flips, it shakes the empire to its core. If you enjoyed this video, hit the card on your screen right now to catch more stories just like this.